Hey everyone. I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. I've been married to my wife, Lena, for 14 years. We have 2 kids, a 12-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. I thought we had a solid, grown-up relationship. We were never overly romantic, but we were partners. We co-parented well, split the bills, made big decisions together. Lena is the co-owner of a popular midtown restaurant. Her business partner, Victor, is the real money behind it. He owns the majority. I never had a problem with him. He's charismatic, successful, a bit slick, but always polite to me. I'd even say we were friendly. We'd chat at company parties, grab a drink now and then. I trusted him. I trusted her. Lena started the restaurant with him about 4 years ago, and I was proud of her. She poured her soul into it. Late nights, early mornings, supplier meetings, staff drama. She handled it all. I did my part at home. School runs, dinners, laundry, bedtime stories. It was exhausting, but I figured that's what a team does. You pick up where the other person needs support. But something shifted about 7 or 8 months ago. Lena became colder, more distant, less present, even when she was home. She stopped checking in, stopped caring about small things, the kids' schoolwork, dinner together, even our anniversary. Her phone was always glued to her hand, face down when not in use. She started dressing differently, more deliberately, if that makes sense. She told me she wanted to feel more confident. I supported that, of course. She said the restaurant was going through a rough patch, that she and Victor were working long hours to restructure the concept and relaunch the brand. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? The first real red flag was a trip to a culinary expo. It was in Prague. Originally, she told me she was going with a small team, her sous chef and floor manager included. When the trip came around, suddenly everyone had canceled. Only Victor was still going. She told me she already bought the ticket and the hotel was non-refundable. I didn't like it. I even told her as much. She rolled her eyes and called me paranoid. She said Victor's basically family and that I shouldn't be so insecure. That line hit me hard. I brushed it off at the time, but something about it lodged itself in my gut and refused to go away. Still, I swallowed it. For the kids. For the partnership. For the belief that if someone says they love you, they wouldn't just lie. Turns out, I was being played for a fool. After Lena got back from Prague, something was off. Even more than before. She was weirdly happy. You know the kind of euphoric glow people get after a romantic weekend? That was her. But when I asked how the expo was, she just said, exhausting, and changed the subject. No photos, no stories, no menus or wine lists. Nothing. The weirdest thing? She started humming again. She'd walk around the house humming like she used to back when we first dated. I hadn't heard that in years. I tried to convince myself I was imagining it, that I was just being an insecure husband while my wife chased her career. But it got harder to ignore. A few weeks later, I found a receipt in the laundry. A receipt from a luxury spa in Prague, 2 treatments, couples massage, champagne package. It had Victor's last name on the second guest field. I stared at that receipt for a long time. My hands were actually shaking. I'm not a jealous guy, but this felt like proof. Real, undeniable, documented proof. I confronted her. Not directly. I wasn't ready to explode just yet. So I casually mentioned that I found a receipt in her jeans. She froze for half a second, then laughed and said it was a business perk Victor booked through the hotel because the expo was chaotic and stressful. She said she didn't even use it. That was her line. I didn't use it. I asked if Victor did. She rolled her eyes and said, I don't know what he does with his hotel perks. I didn't even go. It didn't add up. But the way she said it, the tone, the practiced look of annoyance, it made me doubt myself again. For the next month, I felt like I was going insane. I started watching her, quietly. Not like some obsessive psycho, just paying attention. Her passwords were changed. She was constantly texting someone with this faint smirk on her face. She started showering late at night. Her lingerie drawer had new additions, tags removed. Still, I had no solid proof. And if you've ever been in a long marriage, you know, you don't nuke your whole life over suspicions. I told myself I needed something real. Not just signs. I needed something I couldn't be gaslit out of. Then, fate handed it to me. A couple weeks later, I was helping our son with a school project. He needed Lena's iPad because it had a specific drawing app. She was at the restaurant, so I grabbed it from her nightstand. It was locked, but our daughter knew the passcode. Lena had given it to her a while ago. I didn't think much of it. We opened the app, worked on the project, saved it. But when I went to close out of everything, I accidentally tapped on her photos. There it was. A video. Nothing explicit at first glance. Just Lena sitting in what looked like a fancy hotel room, smiling at the camera. I might have just backed out, but her voice caught my attention. She was whispering something like, "Vic, stop filming, you're such a perv." She giggled in a way I hadn't heard in years. Then she climbed into bed, in lingerie I'd never seen before, and pulled the sheets over herself as Victor's voice chuckled behind the lens. My whole chest clenched. I watched maybe 10 seconds before I closed it. My son was right there. He hadn't noticed, thank God. I felt sick, dizzy, like the floor beneath me had turned to liquid. I told him I needed to update the iPad and sent him to grab a snack. The moment he left, I scrolled through the album. There were dozens of videos. Not all sexual, but intimate. Hotel balconies, shared meals, even selfies together on some trail, her head on his shoulder, her hand on his chest. Like they were together, like we didn't even exist. And the worst part? The timestamps lined up perfectly with all her supposed late work meetings, inventory runs, and supplier events. All lies. I sat on our couch for almost 2 hours, just scrolling, deleting nothing, letting the betrayal soak in. I wanted to scream, punch something, anything, but I didn't. Instead, I quietly backed up all the content to a flash drive. Then I wiped my fingerprints from the iPad, closed it, and put it back exactly where I found it. The calmness was terrifying. I didn't cry. Not yet. I didn't even rage. I just sat there like a guy watching his life burn from behind soundproof glass. It was no longer a suspicion. It wasn't paranoia. My wife, the mother of my children, was cheating on me with the man she built her dream with. And now I had to decide what to do with the truth. I didn't say anything for 3 days. Not a word. Not a hint. I wanted her to live in the lie just a little longer. I wanted to watch her act like nothing was wrong, to study how easily she could fake it all. During those 3 days, she kissed me on the cheek, scrolled TikTok next to me on the couch, talked to our kids about a summer vacation, and even asked if I could pick up dry cleaning. The audacity of it all. But something in me snapped on the third night. I couldn't pretend anymore. She got home late again, said they were finalizing the new wine list with Victor. She walked in all casual, unbothered, makeup slightly smudged like she'd had a long day. I was sitting in the kitchen with the flash drive in front of me. I didn't say a word, just pushed it toward her. She stared at it like it was a dead animal. Then she asked, "What's this?" I told her to plug it into her laptop, that she'd recognize what's on it. Her face went pale. Not immediately. She tried the whole, "Why are you being weird?" thing first. But I just sat there, calm, silent, watching. Finally, she plugged it in. The screen lit up, showing her folder of sins. And then came the storm. She gasped, slapped the laptop shut like it might bite her. And then, without even hesitating, she went into full defense mode. "You invaded my privacy. That was personal. You had no right. This isn't what it looks like." That last one almost made me laugh. Wasn't what it looked like. What did it look like then? Because to me it looked like backshots in a 5-star hotel and romantic breakfasts in bed with a man who wasn't her husband. I asked her one thing. "How long has this been going on?" She crossed her arms and gave me this ice-cold stare. Then she said, "I don't owe you a confession just because you played detective." That was the moment the last thread snapped. Not just because she cheated, not even because she lied, but because she refused to show any remorse. I told her I knew about Prague, the spa receipt, the fake events, the videos, everything. And do you know what she said? She said, "So what? Victor treats me like I matter. He listens. He respects my work. He doesn't talk down to me like I'm just some wife who runs a little restaurant." That was it. She turned it on me. Like her infidelity was my fault. She even had the nerve to say, "You're just mad because I outgrew you." Outgrew me. The woman I helped through her first business loan, whose kids I raised while she chased her dream, who cried on my shoulder when her first investor ghosted her. And now I was just some guy she outgrew. I didn't yell, didn't break anything. I just stood up, told her she could sleep in the guest room, and that we'd be talking about custody next. Her expression changed then. Not to guilt, not to sadness, but fear. Like she didn't expect me to actually fight back. The next morning, she tried to act like the night before hadn't happened. She was in the kitchen, making coffee, humming again. That same damn tune I'd heard after Prague. I didn't say a word. I walked in, grabbed my keys, and left. I drove to a lawyer's office. Not just any lawyer. The one who helped my friend through his brutal divorce last year. She was direct, experienced, and didn't sugarcoat a damn thing. I laid it all out. The affair, the evidence, the business, the kids. She nodded slowly and said, "We'll make this as clean as possible." But she's going to fight dirty. People like her always do. She was right. That same evening, Lena called a family meeting. The kids were in their rooms, but she insisted we talk. I knew what was coming, the manipulation phase. She sat across from me, all composed, wearing that fake calm she used in investor meetings. She started with, "Look, things got out of hand. I didn't plan for this. It just happened." Then came, "Victor and I were just working late. One thing led to another. I didn't mean to hurt you, I swear. Maybe we can go to therapy? For the kids?" I let her talk. I didn't interrupt. I wanted to hear every excuse, every twist of the knife. When she finally stopped, I just said, "I've already spoken to a lawyer. I'm filing." Her face dropped like I'd slapped her. She said, "You're seriously going to destroy our family over one mistake?" One mistake. Like this wasn't an entire alternate relationship with a man she saw every day, talked to every night, and snuck away with on romantic trips. Then she tried the guilt angle. Told me I'd be hurting the kids, that I'd ruin the restaurant's image, that I was overreacting and emotionally fragile. I told her no one destroyed this family but her, that I would never speak badly about her to the kids, but they'd grow up knowing their father didn't let himself be disrespected. She stood up, furious, and stormed off. No apology, no tears, just a cold, bitter silence. That was the night I took back my bed and locked the door behind me. That was the night I slept, really slept, for the first time in months. After I made it clear I was filing for divorce, Lena shifted into full-blown damage control, not to fix our relationship, but to protect her image. The next morning, she started a PR campaign with the kids. Suddenly, she was supermom, making breakfast, organizing movie nights, asking them about every detail of their school day. It was nauseating, but she couldn't fake kindness toward me, not even in front of them. Her tone toward me turned venomous, quiet but sharp. Passive-aggressive jabs, constant little criticisms. She started accusing me of being distant, cold, emotionally unavailable. At one point she even said, "I wouldn't have gone looking elsewhere if I felt like you were still in this marriage." Classic. She stopped sleeping in the guest room after 3 nights and moved into the office instead, told the kids she was working late on the new wine program. Then came the next phase, sabotage. First, she tried to lock me out of our joint accounts. I only noticed when the grocery card got declined. When I confronted her, she said, "I'm just trying to protect myself. You've been unpredictable lately." Unpredictable. Then, she went to Victor and spun a story. I know this because I got a message from him. Victor had the balls to text me, saying, "Sorry things are tense between you two. Lena told me you were going through something." Going through something. I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? "Yeah, thanks for banging my wife while I picked up her dry cleaning." And of course, Lena started planting seeds with our mutual friends. One of them, Jen, pulled me aside at a school event and asked if I was okay. Said she'd heard from Lena that I'd been under a lot of stress. The manipulation was in full swing. I was suddenly the fragile husband having a breakdown while my wife, the hard-working, career-driven mother, kept the family afloat. But the worst part? The kids were starting to notice. Our daughter asked me why Mommy didn't eat dinner with us anymore. Our son wanted to know why we didn't have cuddle movie night like we used to. That killed me. I knew I had to get ahead of her. So I sat down with them. Not to trash Lena, not to expose everything, but to explain that things were changing, that it wasn't their fault, and that no matter what happened, I loved them more than anything. They cried. I did too. But at least I was honest. Meanwhile, Lena was still playing the victim. She even had the nerve to suggest that I should consider leaving the house for a while so things could cool down. I told her she could move into Victor's apartment if she needed space. She didn't reply, just slammed the door on her way out. After her pathetic attempt to gaslight me out of my own house, I got serious. No more reacting emotionally. No more trying to reason with someone who clearly didn't care about anyone but herself. It was time to protect my kids and my sanity. I moved fast. Got a court-ordered freeze on our joint accounts so she couldn't drain them. Filed temporary custody paperwork through my lawyer. secured the house under my name since I had contributed the down payment before we were even married. Lena didn't take it well. She came home the next day with this smug little grin, expecting to find the upper hand. Instead, she found locked access to the money, legal paperwork waiting on the kitchen table, and a husband who was no longer willing to let her run the show. She lost it, accused me of being manipulative, controlling, even abusive, said I was turning the kids against her, when in reality, I had gone out of my way to shield them from everything. That's when she finally admitted what I'd already known. Fine. Yes, I slept with him. But it wasn't serious. It was a mistake, all right? I was vulnerable. Vulnerable. On multiple hotel balconies? In matching bathrobes and candlelit rooms? That kind of vulnerability takes planning. She actually tried to convince me it didn't mean anything, that it was just a physical thing that spiraled. And then, as if that somehow justified anything, she threw this gem at me. You know what Victor told me? He said I deserved better. That I was too powerful to be married to someone small. Someone small. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just smiled. Told her that for once. I agreed with Victor. She deserved him. Let him deal with the egotistical, lying, manipulative mess I've been cleaning up for years. She stormed out, again. This time, she went to stay at her sister's place. Or so she claimed. I didn't care anymore. The less she was around the kids, the better. I met with the school counselor to set up support for our daughter and son. I arranged therapy sessions. I created a stable routine, filled the fridge, cleaned the house, helped with homework, packed lunches, and even managed to get a few old friends back into my life. Was I sleeping well? No. Was I still carrying the weight of betrayal on my chest? Absolutely. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like a man with purpose. The mask was off. The lies were out. The healing, however messy, had finally begun. A week after Lena moved out, the paperwork was officially in motion. My lawyer filed for full primary custody with visitation rights for her. I wasn't trying to alienate her from the kids. I just wanted them to live in a stable, drama-free home. But Lena? She couldn't handle losing control. She'd spent years managing perception, at the restaurant, on social media, in our marriage. Losing her grip meant losing power. And people like her don't go quietly. That's when she played her last, dirtiest card. One evening, I picked up the kids from school and found out, from my daughter, no less, that mommy says she might lose us because daddy is saying mean things about her to the court. I froze. Not only was she poisoning their minds, she was lying. I hadn't spoken a single negative word about her to them. Ever. I had kept every detail of her betrayal out of their ears. But now she was filling their heads with guilt, fear, confusion. I called her that night. Calmly. I told her if she tried to use the children as leverage, I would drag every video, receipt, and recorded lie into court and let a judge decide exactly what kind of mother she was. She didn't deny it. She just went quiet, then hung up. 2 days later, I got an email from my lawyer. Lena's attorney had submitted a counter motion for joint custody, claiming that I had created a hostile emotional environment and was unfit for soul care due to psychological instability following a marriage breakdown. She was trying to paint me as unstable. I shouldn't have been surprised. She'd always known how to twist a story to her advantage. The crying act at investor meetings, the gaslighting when things didn't go her way, the dramatic flair she'd developed as the face of her restaurant. But I had something she didn't, the truth, and a legal trail. My lawyer was 2 steps ahead. We submitted everything. The backup files, the spa receipt, timestamps on those videos, even the calendar entries Lena had carelessly shared with our daughter showing meetings with Victor that coincided with romantic weekends. The court didn't make a ruling that week, but Lena backed off after that. She stopped answering my messages with threats. She stopped showing up unannounced. Instead, she started posting heavily on Instagram, photos of herself alone at the restaurant, captions about reinvention and strong women who rise after the fall. A few sad selfies with the kids followed, like she was the wounded mother trying her best. She wasn't fighting for them. She was fighting for her image. But I didn't bite. I stayed quiet, focused on what mattered. The kids. Stability. Peace. For the first time, they started sleeping through the night again. Our son stopped asking if mom was mad all the time. Our daughter laughed at breakfast. Small things, but huge, too. Lena had scorched everything she touched. But somehow, out of the ash, We were starting to breathe again. The custody hearing finally arrived. I was nervous, but calm. I had done everything I could. My lawyer had prepped me thoroughly. I wasn't going in there to destroy Lena, just to protect my kids and get clarity on what our lives were going to look like moving forward. Lena showed up in a beige suit, hair tied back, not a single emotion on her face. She didn't even look at me. Victor wasn't there, thank God, but I could tell she had rehearsed this performance 100 times. She was ready to cry, to spin, to play victim. But here's the thing, the truth works. It doesn't need theatrics. The judge reviewed everything. The evidence, the financials, even statements from our kids' school counselor, who confirmed changes in their behavior when Lena was around versus when she wasn't. Lena's lawyer tried to argue emotional instability on my part, but when pressed, they had no proof. No medical reports, no incidents, nothing. Then came the twist. The judge asked Lena directly, "Ms. Kovalenko, have you had any romantic or sexual relationship with your business partner while still legally married to your husband?" You could have heard a pin drop. She paused, then said flatly, "That's irrelevant to my parenting." That was it. The judge scribbled something down and looked up. "You're right. It's not directly relevant, but it speaks volumes about your judgment and honesty." She didn't get full custody. She didn't even get 50-50. The final ruling. Asterisk, I got primary custody. Asterisk, she got alternate weekends and one dinner visit per week. Asterisk, she was to pay partial child support due to her higher income. Asterisk, she was barred from discussing court matters with the children. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I just nodded. Outside the courtroom, she finally looked at me. Just once. Her eyes weren't angry. They were empty. She had lost. Not just the battle, but the illusion she'd built around herself. And here's the part one really didn't expect. A week later, I got an email. Not from Lena. From Victor. Short. Cold. One line. "Just letting you know I'm stepping away from the restaurant. It's better this way." That was it. Later, I heard through mutuals that Lena had tried to push him to go public with their relationship, maybe as damage control. He refused. Said the whole thing was too messy and not worth his name being dragged into a domestic nightmare. He dumped her. After all that scheming, sneaking, and betrayal, he walked away. Suddenly, she was alone. It's been 6 months since the court ruling. A full season has passed. The leaves have changed, the kids have grown, and I found myself again. Slowly, painfully, but truthfully. Lena and I don't speak unless it's about the children. Even then, it's cold, clinical, transactional. The woman who once promised forever now texts me like a disgruntled coworker. And I'm okay with that. The truth is, I don't recognize her anymore. I'm not sure I ever truly did. She still runs the restaurant, but it's not the booming success it once was. Victor's exit left a financial and reputational crater. Some loyal staff left with him. Some customers, too. I don't take joy in that. It's just reality. That empire she prioritized over her marriage, it's now a shell of itself. As for Victor, haven't heard from him again. Don't care to. He was a symptom. She was the disease. The kids are healing. Our daughter still has questions sometimes. Our son clings a little tighter before bed. But there's laughter in the house again. Music in the kitchen. Stability. They know they're loved. Deeply, constantly. And that's what matters most. And me? I started seeing a therapist, something I never thought I'd do. I needed to make sense of everything. The betrayal. The lies. The gaslighting. The fact that I almost lost myself trying to hold a marriage together that only I was fighting for. I started going to the gym again. Cooking again. I even picked up photography, something I loved in college but gave up when life got busy. I take the kids out every weekend. We explore. We live. And I've started to forgive myself. For not seeing it sooner. For believing her when I shouldn't have. For loving someone who didn't deserve it. If you're reading this because you're where I was, confused, betrayed, stuck, here's what I'd say. Trust your gut. People who love you don't make you question reality. They don't hide behind excuses or belittle your suspicions. If something feels off, it is. Document everything. Even if you think you're being paranoid. If things go south, facts matter. Protect yourself. Your kids. Your peace. Don't beg someone to respect you. You can't negotiate with selfishness. You can't love someone into being loyal. Respect isn't earned by suffering. It's given by people who value you. And most importantly, when someone sets fire to your world, you get to choose what rises from the ashes. I chose peace. I chose honesty. I chose myself. And I don't regret a damn thing.